Hello and welcome to Essential Keys for Clarity and Purpose. My name is Osiris Indriya. I am a minister at the Institute of Awakened Mastery. I'm a guide, teacher, healer, and ritual master in the lineage of King Solomon through the Modern Mystery School. I'm a marketing lead at a software startup, a DJ, a music producer, an artist, husband, and father. I always like to start off by making sure that we're all on the same page as far as the words that we're using. So the title of this class is Essential Keys for Clarity and Purpose. What is clarity? The state of having a full, detailed, and orderly mental grasp of something. It doesn't feel very clear to me, but I get what they're trying to say. So it's kind of like understanding, I guess, but understanding at a more complete understanding than just a basic understanding, because it's full, it's detailed, and it's orderly. Orderly is definitely part of a deeper understanding. So now I'm going to propose to you some alternate definitions based on my experiences with some tools that have worked really well for me. Awareness or understanding of my place in the universe. So this is one definition for clarity. This is much broader. So it's not so narrowly focused on understanding one thing. This is about understanding how I fit in with everything. So that's definitely got a different feeling to it. And I think we can go even further. Let's peel that onion one more layer. An active and direct connection to my essential self. So that would be how I would define clarity, instead of necessarily focusing purely on the external world, is how well do I know who I am? How much am I connected with the things that make me me, as opposed to the things that I have absorbed from the external world and decided I would allow to be the definition of me? So this is a more empowered point of view, an active and direct connection to my essential self. So that's the inner, and the outer is awareness and understanding of my place in the universe. So that's the kind of clarity we're talking about today. So what is purpose? We got to go back to our holy book of the Webster's Dictionary. Something set up as an object or end to be attained. Stuff we're getting done. That sounds like to me. Something set up as an object or end to be attained. So, I agree with that. I think that's a very good definition of purpose. However, for the context of this conversation, I'm going to propose some alternate definitions. The core objective I focus my intentions, attention, and actions toward. It's kind of similar, but it's a little more specific. So it's not just an outcome, it's an objective, and it's a core objective, meaning it's deep, it's connected to my essential self, as opposed to getting my taxes filed on time. So that's not the purpose we're talking about here. And I imagine you already know that, or you wouldn't have shown up today, because I don't think you were here to file your taxes. You're here to unlock purpose at a greater level. And again, I assume if you're here that you've probably already done this to some degree. So it's about, how do I get more of that? So just like before, I think we can peel that onion one more layer. Let's go one layer deeper here. My reason for existing, or my why. People talk about that a lot. What's my why? Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Who am I? What am I? What's my reason for existing? What makes my existence worthwhile? What am I contributing to reality? Okay, so we have defined terms. Now we should probably define ourselves. So if I'm a being that can have clarity and can have purpose, how does that work? What am I? Who am I? So am I this body? Am I a hairless ape with a relatively high brain to body ratio that results in above average intelligence, full of hard parts and soft parts that breaks down and eventually dies? Is that what I am? Am I the soul? Am I something more than the body? Am I the spirit? And for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to define these three things in more detail. So let's do that now. So the physical body is essentially the lowest tier of our being. It's the dense, lowest vibrational aspect of us. The soul body is one layer above, and then beyond the soul is the spirit. And I'm using some sacred geometry here, the circle, the square, and the triangle to represent each of these bodies. So the spirit body is the true self. It's the essential self, as I said earlier. The soul body is the interface, and the physical body is the rental vehicle. So the true self, which is spirit, which is endless and infinite, that exists in the realm of potential and possibility. It isn't manifest. It doesn't exist in the physical reality, yet it can permeate everywhere, needs an interface in order to operate the rental vehicle, which is the physical body. And I say rental vehicle because there's a limited amount of time we have access to it. And the true self existed before and will exist after the rental vehicle. So my teachers love to say that we're on vacation here for a short time. We're eternal beings on a vacation in this physical realm. And in order to operate the vehicle, we need an interface. You can't stuff infinity into a meat suit directly. It doesn't work. So there's this other layer, which is the interface that can both connect to spirit and to the body to allow the flow of information, of desires, of clarity and purpose to permeate our entire being. Okay. In other words, I am eternal. I have never been born, and therefore I can never die. So the essence of what I am is the true self, is the essential self, is not the part of me that got a scratch on my arm, though the true self gets to experience what it's like to have a scratch on the arm. The most valuable treasure we have is our connection to our eternal spirit and the ability to access and fulfill our higher purpose. And again, that's what this whole conversation is about. And I imagine if you are here, then you're feeling like you're in the right place based on the description. And this treasure of our connection to our eternal spirit and our ability to access and then fulfill that higher purpose is not something exercised by most people. That treasure is not acquired. And you can see this in many different spiritual traditions, Buddhism, Taoism, more Buddhism, I would say, especially, where there's this idea of enlightenment, where one does some sort of work or operation or meditation or whatever they do, some process to attain a higher state of consciousness. So that's one way of looking at it, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here. But first, let's just imagine for a moment, because I know that when I talk about things that aren't physical, when I talk about being an infinite spirit that never was created, that was never born and can never die, most people would say, oh, now you're just in the realm of belief. This is just a belief. So what I'm going to propose to you for just this time together, that you at least entertain the idea that it could be true, that it could be measurable, that it could be demonstrated and proven. Just imagine that that's possible. You don't have to change what you believe, but at least be open to the idea that this could be true. So if we go into that thought experiment, if we imagine that it's true, that the real me is infinite and spirit and always has existed, and I'm on vacation in this meat suit, in this weird physical world, full of beautiful nature and awful meanness too, pain and awesome, all wrapped up into one adventure. Why is this world the way it is? What happened? Because if we're a bunch of eternal spirits on vacation on planet Earth, why did we make it this way? What the heck is going on? Seems like something got messed up in this process. Let's talk about that. So most people are operating, looking out at an external world that was created before they existed, that they have very little influence over, that we need to be, as we're born and we are educated by family, by institutions, by religions, whatever it may be, government, that it puts a framework in our mind and our thinking that tells us this is how things are, and you need to alter yourself to fit into what exists. This is already here. Don't mess with it. Participate in it. And that is what everyone is enrolled in. And you know, it kind of makes sense, because it is true that reality has been crafted by nature, by physical laws, natural laws, but it's also been crafted by humans, by family, by everyone who came before. We don't show up onto a blank slate. The game is already running, and we jump in the middle somewhere. And what's out there wants to persist. It wants to continue to exist. So we get entrained with the idea that we need to change to fit into what's going on. So we have this illusion that we adopt as reality. And as we look outside for answers, for validation that our existence has meaning or value, we start to conform to that reality. Maybe in school, there's that one time that you did a cool art project and now you decided you're an artist. You put that label on yourself and you spend the rest of your life pursuing art, maybe successfully, maybe not successfully, until the next thing comes along that you get praise for, that you get recognition for. And then we jump from external gratification, validation to external gratification and validation. And it puts kind of like a box around us. It creates a framework of externalizing our value and externalizing our meaning and our purpose. And sometimes it's fairly frequent, actually, that people aren't content with this. A lot of people would call this depression, where we are no longer satisfied with living in the way that we were instructed to live. It doesn't fit us anymore. We want to break out. So there's a lot of things we do. Often what we do is we go outside of us again and we look for something alternative to what we previously thought. So, maybe you try, like what I did, you study other religions, which in that case, what you're doing is you're adding frameworks on top of frameworks. When you're looking outside of yourself for what's the right thing for me, then all you're doing is compounding that structure, that outside structure that really has nothing to do with who and what we are. Nowhere is that informed by our true essence and our true self. What we're trying to do is adopt the collective consciousness, the collective activities of others, and find our place in it. And the truth is that our place doesn't exist because we've never existed before. So the world outside was not ready for us to be here. And, if we go through our whole lifetime, as we adopt more and more of these structures, these external points of view, and we identify as them, it gets extremely complicated. And I know this particular visual looks kind of beautiful. And we do, because we pick our favorite parts, right? We say, well, this feels good. This feels less bad. I'm going to collect these things around me, and I'm going to allow people to believe this about me because this is better than the alternatives. So we collect. It's like I forget the name of a bug. There's a certain kind of bug that builds a shell around itself of the pebbles and things that it finds. And an artist that I knew back in my event days, he would put these bugs in an area where there was only precious stones and metals, and they would build their homes out of these precious stones and metals because that's what was around them. That was their environment. So that's what we're doing. Depending on where we're planted, we collect what's available to us and we do our best with it. But ultimately, we can lose ourselves looking outside, and we find ourselves living the wrong life, which leads to stress, depression, anxiety, and often makes us just want to give up and shut down. Because we've run really far in that direction and we know there's nothing for us there. And eventually we get tired of running in directions just to find the same emptiness. Because what we're really looking for isn't out there. Because the world outside was not ready for us. And that was a big awakening for me, to realize the world was not ready for me and was not prepared and didn't have anything really ready for me to exist. So to access our true selves, we have to break free from this illusion. We have to tell ourselves the truth that the space and the materials, the abundance needed for me to accomplish my purpose is not out there, that it must start within me. So oops, no typo there. How do I reach clarity and achieve purpose? Or how do we? We've defined the problem. So let's talk about solutions. We're going to go back to some familiar territory here. I'm going to talk about this in a new mind frame, a new label, the path of the initiate, the path of the initiate. So we have the physical body, just to recap. We have the soul, the spirit body, which are the true self, the interface, and the rental vehicle. So we're going to take this concept, these structures, and reframe them. So this is a glyph called the Tree of Life. And what I'm proposing to you to consider today is that there is a formula for doing exactly what we're discussing today, for achieving clarity and purpose. And that this formula has existed for a very long time, because we aren't the first generation of humans to try to figure this out. People have been not only figuring it out, but once it was figured out, it's been handed down so people wouldn't have to live their whole lives figuring it out. Instead, let's just figure it out and start living a life with clarity and purpose. Let's shortcut and short circuit this need to search and pursue our whole lives. What if we could just do? So looking again at this symbol, it's just a more complicated and nuanced view of the same idea. Now we can take the same geometric definition of self, and we can map it out on the human body. So within each human being, we have access to, which we've already talked about, a physical body, we have soul, and we have spirit. So what we're saying is that we exist between Earth and the physical realm all the way through the unity consciousness of everything. That we have access to all layers of existence all the way up to spirit. And spirit is akin to the concept of divinity or God. I mean, how does a priest specialize to have a special relationship with God if we don't all have that ability? So if each of us can be the complete version of us, we would have access to everything from unity with everything, the true me that exists, the unique individual that I am, and being able to ground that being, that version of me in the world. And there's some specific tools within the system that I use, that I have used for the last 20 years, that I'm going to share with you now. The first is ritual ceremony. So there are a number of tools that we as humans can use to achieve clarity and purpose. Ritual ceremony is a tool that reorganizes and reorients our physical, our energetic, and our mental systems to push out things that are not us and make room for more of the real us to reside here in this reality in this moment. So the words here, it is by will alone that I set my mind in motion. It is by will. It's I drive this reality. I set my mind in motion. With my will, my mind moves. So ceremony and ritual within this tradition are tools and techniques for asserting will and applying it to your reality. You use words, you use movement, and you use your imagination. These are all three critical keys to accomplishing that ritual work. That's what allows us to make these important changes and achieve clarity. And what's really important about rituals and ceremony is that it's repeatable and it has predictable results. You know, that's a bold claim, but again, these are tools that have been used for thousands and thousands of years, and humans have been achieving predictable results for a very long time. So it's a technology that is purely human, that has been maintained and handed down through oral tradition to help us to achieve clarity so we can accomplish purpose. This is tool number one, ritual. Tool number two is meditation. And the specific meditation that we use in this system is called the Max Meditation System. There are many good meditation systems, so I'm not here to say this is the only one, but this is definitely a good one. In this system, we go through 5 phases. We start with relaxation using the breath. We go into passive meditation, which is the process of clearing out the mind, emptying the mind of all the distracted energy from life, followed by active meditation, where we place a single word, a single concept in that now empty mind. And after we've held that single concept for a period of time, we go through a guided visualization to expand upon that concept. And then we conclude by soothing down and re-entering back into the body so we can bring with us all the good things we achieved from the meditation. And the goal of meditation is to quiet the lower mind to access the higher mind. So what is the lower mind? The lower mind is the part of us that's always got programs running to accomplish basic tasks in life. The higher mind really has one purpose, which is to engage in expressing who and what we really are. That is that purpose. So we want to have access to the higher mind. In order to do that, we have to quiet that lower mind. We need to take a break. We need to say, you know what? All those algorithms in the mind need to just stop for a few minutes and let me hear clearly the sound or the song of my soul, which is my interface to spirit. I actually have several recordings of Max meditations with different focuses available. I have them on Twitch. I should download them and get them up on our little social site. And the third, so we had ritual, we have meditation. The third that I'm going to describe here is prayer. Now, prayer is not necessarily what we've learned in religion, but it's direct communication with the realm of spirit, the divine, and the universe. So this is that direct connection to that realm of potential without an intermediary, that I and myself have everything I need to be grateful, to have gratitude for the things that I have, that I can express my desires, where I want to go next, what I want to do to get closer to purpose. And then I can express my commitment to that purpose. And with the idea is that what we're doing is we're requesting and receiving support from higher beings and higher energies. So we don't have to do this alone. That if we are beings of spirit, if we are eternal by nature, are we the only ones in the entire universe of existence that has those properties? No, we are not the only ones. Humans are not the only ones. We're in a large family of beings, and we just happen to be a very special spiritual being that has access to a body. So we have impact here in the world. So prayer helps us to ask for and receive that help. And where does this come from? What does all of this that I'm talking about come from? It comes from the lineage of King Solomon through the modern mystery school. So 3,000 years ago, King Solomon was king of the nation of Israel in North Africa. He is the son of King David. You can read about him in the Book of Kings. That's some information about him. Our lineage and tradition has more information about him as well. But he was a very unique person who, his father, David, David and Goliath story, he was a warrior king, and he conquered the neighboring tribes and tried to rule over everyone as one larger empire of Israel. And Solomon said, wait a minute, if we are all eternal beings, why wouldn't we live together in harmony on this earth as eternal beings? Why are we fighting and killing each other? What makes another tribe of humans so different from us? Why are we the only chosen people? Why aren't we all the chosen people? Or maybe we just need to start choosing each other better. So that's a big part of what he did, is unified many nations in purpose without unifying governments, right? They didn't all need to be ruled by Israel, but we could collaborate and accomplish things together. So where David had his downfall, coveting the wife of one of his soldiers and sending the soldier out in battle to be killed so he could get that wife, Solomon married an empress, the Queen of Sheba, who had her own empire. So someone truly an equal to him, who had responsibilities far away for that day. So he's a very interesting guy. So what he did in his day was take what was already there. So it's a more ancient system, but he worked with the various nations and tribes of the world to find a system that was universal, that would work for everyone. And that has been what has been passed down for the last 3,000 years to us. So here is me leading a class of around 30 people after a 10-month Kabbalah training program that I ran, teaching the same fundamental tools that were taught in Solomon's day And they very much still apply, even though the world around us seems to have changed so much. But in our essence, we are still spirit, soul, and body. So the Modern Mystery School is the organization that is maintaining the integrity of these teachings. I go through certification. I routinely travel to the Modern Mystery School. There's even folks here on this call who have gone to Toronto and experienced the Mystery School for themselves. And the process is relatively simple, and it's a progression. It's a progressive set of steps, but you do not have to do the next step just because you do one step. So the first step for everyone is called life activation, which is a one-on-one session. It's a healing and activation that comes from Solomon's time. Initiation is the process of handing down tools, information, and energy, and with the authority to use them. So we go have an initiation process that one goes through. You take a 2-day class, you learn the tools, techniques, information, you receive the energy and the authority to wield all of those things to achieve clarity and purpose. And once we've worked with these tools and begun the process of mastering the self at rapid speed, again, we want to get over that part. We don't want to work our whole lives to do it. Let's just get her done so we can start on a path of service to others, so we can help others. And finally, the goal of all of this is to achieve world peace by achieving at first peace within. So if I can find clarity and I can achieve my purpose and I can help other people do the same, that brings harmony and peace to everyone who is able to achieve these things. Now, we know this isn't something everyone would pursue, but it is something that universally works for those who pursue it. So that's a big part of this process, is it must be pursued. We don't pursue you. So you were invited here to learn about it. If this is something you're interested in, you have to stand up and say, hey, Osiris, talk to me about this. I want to learn more. Otherwise, there's no way to access this set of tools other than to stand up and say that you want it. So how do you do that? There's a very easy way to do it, which is to meet with me for a free consultation, either over Zoom or in person here in Bothell, Washington, where we can talk about your unique gifts and how these tools work and see if there is a good fit. And you can contact me at Blessoterra. So our website is blessoterra.center. You can also call or text this number, and that reaches me and my wife, Chiana. You can also join our online community at inspire.blessoterra.center, and you can access it on our website, just blessoterra.center. And we post all of our events and we engage with people there. You can send us direct messages privately. You can talk with other people in our community there. And it's a lot of fun. And that completes our video.